All right, everybody, just wrapped up day 2 of my first HOG rally. So let's start with a little bit of background first. So what is a HOG regional rally? I think that's important. So there's this thing called the Harley's Owners Group. If you buy a Harley Davidson from a dealership, they will give you 1 year free. I think you have to buy a new motorcycle though. I don't think you can buy a used one. Maybe, I'm not sure. You could potentially buy a used one and still get free membership. It's like 40 or 50 bucks a year. You get roadside service, which is nice. And then it also gets you access to your like local chapter. So there's like wherever your dealership is, they have like a group that tries to get together and run local rides. So how did I get involved in this thing? We have a local chapter here, which is the Western Slope Harley Owners Group. I am helping as the webmaster this local group with kind of all their technology stuff. So when I bought my Harley, I got my year free. I went to the local meeting and they needed somebody to help out with the technology stuff. I'm like, oh, you guys are really nice. I know a lot about technology. I can help. So I got roped in as the webmaster, which actually has been a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I will say the people that I've met here locally that are really involved are really amazing people. And on that note, we're going to get more into the people and that sort of thing. So I'll hold a note there. But that's what the regional rally is. So there are rallies kind of all around the country, and people from the local states come in for 3 days and they go on rides, have food, there's events, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And so it's like a motorcycle. It's like an excuse to get a bunch of people who ride Harleys together to ride motorcycles. So let's talk about my first impressions of going to my first Harley's Owners Group rally. And really, it's the people. I think it's split into the day people and the night people. So let's talk about the day people. Day people are like basically much of the people that I met at my local chapter that I truly adore and I think are absolutely amazing people. And they're really, really great. And I think more than anything, I enjoy just hanging out with them and being around great people. And they seem very family oriented. A lot of times it's couples, very blue collar, hardworking people that just love their motorcycles, and they're really great to be around, super friendly, definitely will look out for you, always want to try to help, just great people. And the day people on the rides that I went on, I did 2 rides. I helped out with the Moab ride, which is an amazing ride. I'll probably do a separate video on that ride, because if you've never done it, I kind of think I'll do it like I did for my Colorado BDR route. So if you've never done it and you're coming through Utah and you're going to be in that part of the country, you should definitely ride it. It is one of the best 2-lane roads, I think, out there, especially in this area. So I did the ride to Moab, and then today I finished and helped out with the Grand Mesa ride. The Grand Mesa is the largest flat top mountain in the world. So here in the valley, we're about 4,200 feet above sea level. The Mesa tops out at about 11,000 feet. So you kind of just climb straight up, and it's a completely different world up there. There's 200 lakes. So it's very dry and deserty down here in the valley. If you can think of Arches National Park, I mean, we're very close to there, so it's that kind of climate without so much red rock. It's a lot more brown rock here. We don't have the cool red rock, but very deserty. But then you get up on the mesa, very green, 200 lakes. It's very wet. It's almost like the Pacific Northwest rainforest. Not quite on that level, but the ground is very wet and green and just very different from the desert floor here. So let's talk about the night people. The night people are different. The night people are much more MC culture related, if I had to put a tag on it. So it's a younger crowd. I'm kind of in this weird area where in the day people, I'm the youngest one there, and I'm not that young. But then with the night people, I'm on the older spectrum of things. So it's a bit weird. But the night people, how did I come in contact with the night people? So on the opening day on Thursday, there was a kind of a bike night event. So at the dealership, they had a band and music and vendors and all sorts of stuff going on from 6 to 8 p.m. There's also bike games. And so with bike games, I was the referee. I didn't get a lot of footage of that because I was trying to call people and manage these bike games, and it was very hard to get footage. So a friend took a bunch of photos. I'll see if I can snag some other footage from other people that took footage of the bike games. So hopefully I can add it in here, but I was the referee. Now back to the night people. The night people seem to have a very big reverence for the MC culture, right? So if you think Sons of Anarchy kind of thing, that's their jam. I've talked about this before. I don't understand it. It's not my jam. Actually, there is a guy. So I'm going to tag him in this video. He has a big following. His name is Sos the Ghost, and he does like all these videos on MC culture. Even though it's not my thing, I'm very interested in learning more about what attracts people to this lifestyle and this whole image. So I do watch his videos. What I would be interested in hearing from him, so if you guys watch his videos, tag him, maybe we can get him to educate us on this, would be there's this group that aren't in there, right? Like they aren't part of the MC culture, right? They're not in it, so they don't wear the vest with the patch, the whole deal. They're not part of the specific club, but they very much revere it. And it's like everything they talk about, well, I learned it from the MC club, or I learned it from, you know, it's like, that's the phrase I kept hearing over and over again. Well, I learned it from the MCs. And it's like, that becomes the gospel for them. Like, that's gold standard. I'm like, okay, I don't care. Like, I like riding motorcycles. Like, that whole politic things, I don't care about. So maybe we can get him to do a video on like this subset of people who aren't in the MC culture. Like, what is this like reverence for these like MC clubs? Like, why don't, if they like them so much, like why don't they just join? But they don't. Like, it's this weird dynamic. The other thing is like leading the bike games. It just also like the night people, it is just a very different subset of culture and like values and things that I'm used to dealing with. Leading the bike games, for example, like people get super competitive about it. Like, who cares? Like, you're not even really winning anything. I think people did. Actually, I take that back. We were giving away $75 gift cards to the dealership, but it's like, that's it. And like some people were very, very upset about the rules. And like, this was just weird to me because like in my case and in my inner circle, like if somebody won or whatever, we congratulate them. Oh, great job. You did a fantastic job. Like, you won. Enjoy that, you know? Like, there's no, it's like being willing to celebrate other people's success rather than being down on your failure, if that makes sense. Like, I think that's what really separates it. And the night people, very competitive. One guy was super upset that he did not win the slow race, and he wasn't even close to being first. He was like fourth. And so it didn't even matter if he found a way to disqualify the guy who won, he still wasn't going to win. So it was like even weirder to me. I like had a really hard time understanding it. And so finally I was like, dude, I made the rules up and I'm new to this and you didn't win. So like, that's the end of it. Anyways, so my first impressions, very much day people versus the night people, very different crowds, but also very fun. And I actually had a great time with the night people. So even though I don't understand a lot of that culture and that whole thing, I still had a lot of fun, especially like leading the bike games. It was really fun. So let's talk about the rides and the riding culture and how the rides work. So at the rallies, if you're new and you're interested in going to one, and I will point this out again if you haven't seen my video on like my first ride with the Harley Owners Group. I think if you are new to riding motorcycles and you want to ride with a group, the Harley Owners Group is a great place to start. You don't have to have a Harley, ironically, so you can show up. You could show up on your GS 1250 if you want. If you just want to go ride with some people, they will welcome you. And especially like our group, I hate using the word chapter again because it ties back to that whole night people thing that like isn't my jam. I don't like the terms because it just doesn't describe me. So like my local community of Harley owners, they, you know, like they will welcome you in, it'll get you comfortable with riding other people. You're going to do all pavement if that's cool. But if that's your idea of an adventure, you should go do it because it'd be super fun. But how the rides work and the riding culture around it is we had 4 rides. So there was one to Moab. There was one to around the Grand Mesa, up and over the Grand Mesa, which I talked about. There was also one down to Silverton. And Silverton, if you watched my Colorado BDR video, there's a $1 Million Highway section. So if you saw the section between basically Corkscrew Pass to basically Ophir, that's like one section of $1 Million Highway, but you ride that all the way into the town of Silverton. And then there was also one to the Black Canyon of the Gunnison. So some really cool rides, very, very unique territory. So like if you rode to Moab, then the next day you rode to Silverton, you would go from desert red rock to the next day being in, I think, the Switzerland of the West. That's the best way to describe it. That's what URA calls itself, like the Switzerland of the West. Like it's a perfect description. I've never been to Switzerland, but the photos I've seen that make me think it is. So it's like just very different riding. And the rides are staggered and they group them between, on average, like they max them at about 20 people. So if you're very nervous about riding with people and you want to get out and do some of these cool rides, I think, and there's a rally in your backyard, you should go. ride with these people, have fun. They'll have 4 rides. At least here, you can get out ride, and you don't have to have a Harley. Some people are on Hondas, whatever, like kind of everybody's welcome. So, which is actually unique because you have to have like a Harley's corporate group membership in order to go to the like HOG rally. So like there was a girl that was on like a Honda V-twin, and maybe she just came in for the rides, and like nobody's really checking, like you're not like signing off and nobody's checking you have the wristband, so you could probably just sneak in without doing it. Don't get me in trouble, so if you do that, that's on you for not having a Harley like yearly membership and getting in on these rides. That's on you, not on me. But we weren't checking them, to be honest with you. And there was a girl that was riding a Honda. So, but again, like it's super welcoming, and I would welcome you to go do it. The next thing I found that was interesting about the riding culture is like with the day people, again, super nice. Some of these people have been like ridden their bikes all over the country. They talk about riding all the time, but then they get in a group and they're very, very nervous, right? And you can tell, like, you can always pick out the very nervous riders that are just like not super comfortable in a group. I'm a newer motorcycle rider, but then like these people, I'm like, what? Why are you like, what? Come on, like you're good, like just grip it and rip it, like let's go here. But you know, there's just some very nervous people, so that was interesting. Generally, they'll hang towards the back, and I specifically noticed this because on the rides I was helping with, I was sitting towards the back, more of a sweep, so I could get video, and helping the guy who was the actual sweep, kind of being like the third assistant in the rides. And so you kind of notice these people, they hang towards the back. So if you're more comfortable, get towards the front, you can sit a little bit tighter and have more fun kind of being in that kind of tight controlled group down the rides. The spacing will generally be, you want to be 2 seconds from the rider in front of you. So you'll ride like staggered like this, and you want 2 seconds in front of the rider in front of you, 1 second from the rider on the right. And actually they say that like riding tighter actually helps us be safer on the road because you're a bigger, tighter group, and so people won't cut you off. And if you stagger too much, somebody may think that like a car may try to get over and think that's the end of the group, but you're there and could cause a problem. So generally riding tighter is generally safer because you're a much bigger group and you're easier to see. So that's kind of how like the rides will work. They generally stop quite a bit along the way. So if you're not good at riding for long distances, this might be a good way to practice, because it's not just like hammer out the miles. Like when we did the kind of big 450 mile day with the local group here, and we were through the San Juan Mountains, which are absolutely amazing. Again, section 2 of the Colorado BDR, but on pavement. We didn't really stop all that much, just where we had to for gas and lunch and then on the way back. This was a lot of seat time, really amazing places we got to, but it was a big day. In this case, on these rides, some of them are going to be a big day. Like the Silverton ride, they were leaving at like 9:30, but the groups last on the first night weren't getting back until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So again, that's like 12 hours on the bike, but they made a lot of stops. They even stopped at like a local Ute Native American museum, actually which I want to go to, which was really cool. It was cool to hear people's experience because I wanted to go to it every time I drive past St. Montrose. So it's cool to say that they enjoyed it, so maybe I'll go, give me an excuse to ride my bike and go check it out. But they stop a lot along the way, so it gives you time to break it up. You can take photos, really enjoy the scenery. They are also going to ride slower. So like when we went through Castle Valley into Moab, they were going the speed limit, maybe a little bit slower, so people can actually take in the views and like see where they're at and ride safely. And you have to do that slower, so it's a lot more scenic driving, so you don't have to worry about being dropped. The rides are never going to be fast. You can definitely feel comfortable that you're like, if you're a slow rider or you're nervous, you can sit towards the back. The sweeps are going to be there to make sure like you don't get lost if you get caught at a stoplight or whatever, or if you have a problem, you'll be fine. And they're okay to ride at your pace. That's like the biggest difference from when I went on the ADV ride. It was like everybody hammered, and I even got a lot of comments like, you should know, and if you're going to go on a group ADV ride, you have to be good. Where it's like, yeah, but they said it was for beginners. And in here, it doesn't say it's, like for beginners, but it is very, very beginner friendly. So if you've never ridden with people, definitely, I think this is a great opportunity. And if you have a Harley, they're just great on the highway. They're super comfortable. I talked about that in my CVO video. You can go watch that and get more details on why I enjoy my Harley so much. But really great time there. That's how the rides work. We had 4. Other regional rallies may have different numbers. So I would say the last thing that I probably enjoyed the most was getting to know new people from all over the world. Actually, today I had lunch with a couple that was from Germany, and they actually were in California, and they rode out here to this rally for 3 days, and then they're gonna go do some more riding. And actually the guy had built this road glide that was super cool, put a picture up. Generally not my style when it comes to road glides. Actually, like I'm not into the stretched bag thing, but he had a stretched tank, stretched bags. He even had the big 21-inch front wheel. Again, that's not my jam, but this bike just looked amazing. He did it really, really well. That I actually really liked it. I thought it was a CVO that had been modified, like an earlier version CVO, but it wasn't. He just built up a road glide. Super cool bike. But yeah, getting to meet them and like hear their stories and like how they ended up in the US and what bikes he has back in Germany, that was super cool. So for me, when you stop, just being able to talk and get to know other people. And then on that note, both days I rode with an older retired vet, Don, who like led the group on his trike, and then another guy, Randy. And I've met and ridden with both of them before, but it was really cool just to like be able to connect with them on like a little bit of a deeper level and more of like a community aspect, because we have spent time now. So now it's okay to like learn more about their family and like what do they do and what was their background, like what was Don's role in the war and Vietnam War, like what did he do, and just like learn more about them and get more connected with people in your community. That was super cool. Don and Randy are just awesome guys. Older, retired, love riding motorcycles, super, super great. Really enjoyed learning more about them, riding with them, and just kind of being able to connect with them better. So that was also something that I really enjoyed from my first HOG rally thing. Now, to wrap it up, would I travel out of state to go to another regional rally on my CVO? The short answer is probably yes. So like if there was a regional rally in like Idaho, like I really want to do the Idaho BDR. So like if there was an Idaho based Rocky Mountain, if next year there were Rocky Mountain rallies somewhere in Idaho, that would be cool because I would get an opportunity to go to a state that I want to go to and ride through, because the mountains there are supposed to be really awesome and really good for riding, especially on the BDR side. It's supposed to be really cool. And so it'd be fun to like go up and ride with them. Another one I think it would be fun would be Salt Lake, because I'm kind of familiar with the area, being so close to here, like riding those mountains, like that one would also be fun. So I think yes, I probably would go because I really enjoy the day people. Like the day people are my thing, and the night thing, because at this point I wouldn't have to like necessarily go. It would be cool to like see the vendors, maybe grab some food, but I wouldn't have to like necessarily immerse myself in the culture of the night people, if that makes sense. Not that the night people are bad. All people are into their own thing, and I totally, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, if it fulfills you and you have fun, then I think you should 100% embrace it. On that note, like I have a good buddy that I went mountain biking with up in the Pacific Northwest, and he had this trail that was like his favorite trail. I thought it was the worst trail in the world. I would never want to ride my mountain bike down it again. I thought it was awful, but he loves it, and I think he should ride it as much as he absolutely should or can. And he should ride it. So again, just if you fall into the whole night people thing, this isn't a diss on you. It's just not my jam. But I think you should lean into it. And if it brings you fulfillment and closer to your community, and you're helping you to do good things in the world, I don't condone bad things and hurting other people. So again, as long as you're doing good things, I think you should totally embrace it. So I want to have that caveat. It's always about people and connecting. I think that was probably the best part of the 2 days I've spent at the HOG Rally. We'll see if I go back tomorrow. I need to get a workout in. And I've eaten terrible at these lunches, because you always stop, when you stop for lunch, you stop at these little cafes and you're eating like burgers and fries. So not good for my diet, not good for my waistline. I talked about that in my other video. So yeah, so I got to get a workout in tomorrow. We'll see if I go on one of the other rides or help out tomorrow. So that's my experience so far, my first HOG rally. Leave me a comment below if you've made it this far. Subscribe. Tell me why you think Harleys are stupid. Tell me why you think this is the worst video in the world. Tell me why you think I'm ugly. Tell me what is so wrong with everything I said for the last almost 20 minutes. This got really long. So with that, until next time, stay safe out there.